Another day, another banger. Today, we're diving into the mysterious story of 1899. A missing ship suddenly shows up after 4 months, but there's a catch: every passenger on board has lost their memory. What happened to them? And why is this so creepy? Stick around to find out. So, grab some snacks, get comfy, and let's jump into the recap. Episode 1 opens with Maura Franklin waking up in room 1011 on a ship called Kerberos. Before this, we see her in a hospital asking frantically about her brother. She also sees a large black pyramid in a dark landscape. When she wakes up on the ship, she has dark bruises on her wrists like she was tied up before. She holds an important letter addressed to Henry, which has a newspaper article about a missing ship. She keeps telling herself she's not crazy. The ship has many passengers going to America. There's Oleg, who works shoveling coal in the bunker below deck, a French couple named Lucien and Clemens who just got married, 2 Spanish brothers named Ramiro, who is a priest, and Angel, and a woman named Ling Yi who claims to be a geisha. Ling Yi speaks Cantonese, which is strange for a geisha, and travels with her companion Yuk Jae. During dinner in the dining hall, a Danish man named Krester runs in from the lower-class cabins asking for a doctor.
Doctor?
Maura, who is a doctor even though it's unusual for women at that time, follows him to help his pregnant sister Tove. Tove is in terrible pain. Her mother Eben doesn't want Maura's help at first, but when Tove's pain gets worse, Maura steps in. She fixes the baby's position in Tove's stomach, and the pain stops right away. A young girl named Ada thanks Maura for helping, and we learn that Maura cannot have children herself. Maura goes to the deck because she feels sick and is having strange visions from her past. There she meets Captain Ake Larson. The captain gets called away because his crew picked up a signal. In the control room, they keep getting the same coordinates over and over for 20 minutes straight. They think it might be from the Prometheus, a ship that went missing months ago. Ake decides to turn the ship around to check, even though he knows the passengers won't like it. We see more about the passengers' lives. Lucien and Clemens fight a lot even though they just got married. A French man named Jérôme, who snuck onto the ship without paying, becomes friends with Oleg in the coal room. Krester and Angel meet in secret and start to like each other. Ling Yi and Yuk Jae talk in private in their room, revealing they're pretending to be something they're not. Maura looks at her letter again. The back of the envelope says what is lost will be found. She finds Ake looking at a picture of his family. When she asks about the signal, he says he's not sure if it's really from the Prometheus or if anyone could still be alive after so long. Then we learn that Ake has gotten a mysterious letter just like Maura's. The crew spots a ship in the distance. Ake chooses Oleg, Jérôme, Maura, and Ramiro to go with him to check it out. Some crew members want to contact the ship company first, but Ake insists on investigating right away. The ship is completely dark and the wind has gotten very slow and strange. One sailor warns that the sea knows when death is nearby. When they get on the Prometheus, they find no one at all. As they search the ship, Ake starts hearing creepy laughter and finds a ribbon with flowers on it that seems to mean something important to him. They find the ship's telegraph machine completely destroyed, which makes them wonder how someone could have sent them the signal. While checking the dining hall, they hear loud banging coming from inside a cabinet. When they open it, they find a small boy trapped inside. The boy doesn't speak but gives Maura a small black pyramid, just like the big one she saw in her vision. Back on the Kerberos, Ling Yi and Yuk Jae argue in their cabin about having to keep pretending for a while longer. Then something strange happens. A mysterious man wearing all black appears on the ship, completely soaking wet. Nobody knows where he came from. He walks to room 1011 and slides a shiny green beetle under the door, the same kind of beetle they saw on the Prometheus. Then he goes into room 1013. We learn this mysterious man's name is Daniel. Episode 2 opens with Ake's dream where he's in the woods and hears a child singing in German. He calls out for someone named Nina and sees a house on fire with a woman and young girl inside. When he wakes up, he's holding the ribbon he found on the Prometheus. Some sailors talk about Ake's past, revealing his wife set their house on fire, killing herself and their daughters. Maura starts taking care of the boy from the Prometheus. The sailors get a scary message from their ship company that just says sink ship. The company seems to want them to hide what they found on the Prometheus. Maura and Ake talk about the boy who won't speak. Ake tells Maura he's been seeing and hearing strange things since visiting the Prometheus. Maura meets Daniel, the mysterious wet man who came aboard. She thinks she knows him from somewhere. Daniel just says he heard noises from her room. Inside her room, Maura tries to feed the boy, but he won't eat. He looks sad and won't answer her questions about the Prometheus. He just keeps giving her the black pyramid. In the lower class cabin, Ada washes Krester's hair. They talk about America. Their parents want to build a church, but Ada wants to go to school to become a doctor. Krester meets with Angel again, even though they can't speak each other's language. Angel gives Krester a silver compact case. Tove sees this and later takes the gift away, warning Krester that rich people don't give things for free. The passengers get worried about the boy and the Prometheus. Ake asks about anything strange about recent ship sales. Lucien tries to talk to Ling Yi about Japan and the Prometheus, but a woman named Virginia Wilson stops them. Virginia tells Lucien privately that his marriage looks unhappy and suggests Ling Yi as a distraction. Jerome sneaks into Lucien's room and leaves a military medal. Later, he talks to Clemens but gets caught by crew members for being a stowaway. Ake keeps hearing singing and follows it. He finds himself in a vision where his dead family is sitting around a fire. His daughter Nina says her mom's dreams are back. When Ake wakes up, he's in a hidden room under the floor with another beetle. There's a triangle drawn on the floor. Mora finds a triangle tattoo on the boy's neck. When she sees it, the boy grabs her arm and makes a signal. Ake comes in demanding answers about the Prometheus, but the boy stays silent. In the hall, Ake tells Mora he saw his dead family. Earlier, Ake asked Oleg to secretly check their coal supply. Oleg reports they're half full but Ake just closes the door on him. Mora tells the boy about her missing brother. She thinks he was on the Prometheus and is now dead. She shows the letter she thinks her brother sent, which has the same triangle as the boy's tattoo. In their room, Angel and Ramiro reveal their secrets. They're not really brothers, and Ramiro isn't a real priest. He's actually a Portuguese servant pretending to be Spanish. They start kissing, and we see Angel has many scratches and scars on his back. Daniel puts a beetle on the floor where there are triangles in the carpet pattern. Ada follows the beetle until she finds Daniel, who picks it up and says I'm sorry to her.
I'm so sorry.
In the dining room, Ake announces they're turning back to Europe with the Prometheus because they don't have enough coal to tow it to America. The passengers get very angry, especially Lucien. Mora argues with Ake about going back. Ake shows her his mysterious letter, asking about its connection to his family and the Prometheus. Mora has the same letter but doesn't tell him. She tries to change his mind about turning back, but he refuses. The crew talks about maybe sinking the Prometheus themselves. A sailor named Franz shows Ake a new telegram filled with just triangle symbols. Ake goes to the deck and finds people gathered around Ada, who is dead. In Daniel's room, we see he has a photo of Mora, showing he knows her somehow. The episode ends with a scene showing someone watching all the characters on multiple TV screens, but we don't see who it is. Episode 3 opens with Ling Yi having a nightmare where she's trapped in a chest sinking in the ocean. She wakes up to Mora's voice and gets dressed in her geisha clothes. She goes to the dining area to meet her mother and Virginia. Virginia tells Ling Yi to come to her room after breakfast, while Ling Yi and Yuk Jae share worried looks. Crester tries to open the gate to the main deck to look for Ada. In the medical area, a doctor, Mora, Ake, and 2 crew members examine Ada's body but can't figure out how she died.
Looks like natural causes to me. Possible stroke or heart attack.
Ake tells everyone to keep Ada's death a secret. They go to the main deck and find it very foggy. Ake orders the ship to stop until the fog clears. Some crew members don't like his decision. In Ake's room, he shows Mora the ribbon from his dead daughter that he found on the Prometheus. He tells her about seeing his dead family. When Mora says it's just his mind playing tricks, Ake moves his bed to reveal a secret passage. He thinks the ship company is hiding something about the Prometheus and wants to find the ship's logbook. Virginia examines Ling Yi and discovers she's not who she claims to be. She learns Ling Yi took another girl's place but still wants to use Ling Yi for business. While Ake and Mora go back to the Prometheus, the boy in Mora's room crawls under her bed with his pyramid. Ling Yi argues with her mother and hides in a chest. She remembers when she accidentally killed her friend with poison. She meant to make her friend sleep so she could take her place on the ship, but the poison was too strong. In her memory, she sees herself being thrown into the ocean in a chest instead of her friend. Oleg finds her and helps her out of the chest. Franz tells Tove about Ada's death and takes her to see the body. Tove brings Ada back to the third-class area. Meanwhile, Crester and Angel have an intimate moment. On the Prometheus, Ake and Mora search for the logbook and find a strange tiled shaft. Back on the Kerberos, Daniel talks to the boy about finding something but doesn't say what. We see more of Ling Yi's memory about poisoning her friend. She didn't mean to kill her, she only wanted to make her sleep so she could take her spot on the ship. On the Prometheus, Ake and Mora find machines that measure steam pressure and burn coal. Mora thinks someone used these machines to kill the passengers. Ake finds a passenger list with Mora's name on it but keeps it secret from her. Ling Yi agrees to be a call girl and meets with Lucien. During their talk, Lucien has a seizure. More crew members are found dead, dying the same way as Ada. Franz gets angry about Ake's decisions and starts a rebellion. We learn that before getting on the ship, Ramiro killed someone and took their clothes to pretend to be a priest because Angel made him do it. Daniel talks to Mora and tells her he lost someone but won't say who. Franz and many angry passengers walk past them, looking for Ake. Daniel warns Mora to lock herself in her cabin. Ramiro tries to warn Ake about Franz's plans, but Franz catches them both. The episode ends with Daniel using a remote control to turn on the steam pressure machine on the Prometheus. When he does this, the Kerberos vanishes into thin air. Episode 4 opens with a flashback of Jérôme and Lucien in a desert. We learn they served in the military together, and their mission went terribly wrong with everyone in their unit dying. In the hot desert, Lucien comes up with a plan to survive. He suggests taking a dead lieutenant's clothes and identity, pretending to be him, while Jérôme would pretend to be the brave soldier who saved him. When Jérôme says he doesn't want to be part of this lie, Lucien first acts like he understands and won't do it. But then he suddenly pulls out his gun and points it straight at Jérôme's head. Back in the present, Jérôme wakes up lying on the floor of a room. Franz and other crew members come in and order Jérôme and Oleg to help them with a terrible task, throwing dead bodies overboard from the main deck. At the same time, all around the ship, crew members are forcing passengers to stay locked in their cabins. Nobody is allowed to leave. Franz makes a shocking discovery when he goes to check on their situation. The Prometheus is no longer tied to their ship. He also notices that all the compasses are working normally again, and their ship has turned around, now heading west as it was supposed to. The third-class passengers have a meeting and decide that the mysterious boy must be causing all the strange things happening on the ship. They become angry and scared, deciding they need to find this boy and kill him to make everything normal again. While this is happening, Lucien and Clemens have an important conversation in their room. Lucien shows her the medicine called potassium bromide that he takes for his seizures. He tells her something very sad. He is dying and doesn't know how much longer he has to live. While looking through his things, he finds the lieutenant badge he gave to Jérôme many years ago. This makes him realize that Jérôme must be somewhere on the ship. The angry third-class passengers break into Mora's room, searching everywhere for the boy, but they can't find him. After they finally leave, Mora hears strange knocking sounds coming from under her bed. When she moves the bed, she finds something surprising, a shaft exactly like the one they found on the Prometheus. She opens it and finds the boy hiding inside. While this is happening, Daniel is doing something secret with the ship's steam pressure machine, and Jérôme is running away from crew members who are chasing him. He manages to get to Clemens and Lucien's room and has a private talk with Clemens. When Mora tries to get answers from the boy about the mysterious shaft, he stays silent as usual. Mora tries to pick the lock of her door, but then something strange happens. The boy takes out a green beetle from his pocket and uses it to open the door like magic.
How did you do that?
Clemens, Jérôme, and Ramiro then work together on a plan to escape. They want to find a lifeboat so they can row back to the Prometheus. Ake thinks if they can get there, he might be able to fix the telegraph and call for help. Mora and the boy find them while they're trying to lower a lifeboat into the ocean. Just when they think they might escape, Crester, Franz, and several crew members discover them and demand they hand over the boy. The boy gives himself up just as Jérôme is reaching for a hammer to fight back. Franz shoots Jérôme in the arm, then runs away with the boy. Getting shot makes Jérôme remember the full story of how Lucien betrayed him years ago. In his memory, after pointing the gun at him, Lucien knocked him unconscious and left him alone in the desert while Lucien returned to France pretending to be the lieutenant. Tove suddenly realizes throwing the boy overboard is wrong and tries to stop it from happening. But despite her change of heart, when Mora and her group try to save the boy, a big fight breaks out between everyone. During all this chaos, Eben pushes the boy off the ship into the ocean. As Mora's group retreats from the fight, Lucien sees something that makes him very angry: Jérôme and Clemens holding each other close. He points his gun at Jérôme and forces Clemens to go back to their room with him. Inside the ship, while everyone is cleaning up their cuts and bruises from the fight, Ake tells Mora he has to ask her something important. He wants to know why her name was on the passenger list of the Prometheus. Before she can give him any answer, they hear strange noises coming from inside a cabinet. The cabinet doors open by themselves, and to everyone's complete shock, the boy walks out holding his pyramid, completely dry as if he was never thrown into the ocean. The episode ends with everyone watching in disbelief as the boy walks straight to Mora and hugs her. Episode 5 opens with Mora's flashback of being dragged down a hallway in an asylum. She wakes up in the present to find the other passengers have locked the boy in the cupboard, just like how they first found him on the Prometheus. When Mora tries to get to the cupboard, Ake stops her, demanding to know why her name was on the Prometheus passenger list. Down below, the crew who started the rebellion worry about being arrested when they reach land, as mutiny is punished by death. Eben tells them they'll have to kill anyone who might turn them in. Meanwhile, Tove tells Crester that their mother Eben isn't really hearing God's voice, she's just going mad. When Tove asks if Crester feels bad about killing the boy, he reminds her that she has killed someone before. Tove says that was different, grabs a shotgun, and leaves to do something she should have done earlier. Clemens and Lucien argue about their marriage after what happened with Jérôme. Lucien admits he lied about everything and tells Clemens she reminds him of all the things he can't have. In the dining hall, Mora tries to open the cupboard to free the boy. When someone tries to shoot her, Daniel jumps to save her. Suddenly, time freezes, and Mora takes the bullet from the air. She and the boy escape while everyone else is frozen. When time starts again, sirens begin blaring on the ship. Daniel tells Ake they'll run out of coal in 2 days and need to start saving it.
We need to take the ship back under control.
The sirens stop and are replaced by a ticking sound like a clock. Many passengers fall into a trance and start walking to the deck to jump off the ship. Important characters like Ake, Mora, Tove, and Jerome don't fall into the trance, but Ling Yi's mother and Crester do jump overboard. Mora and the boy hide in her room. The boy writes they are listening and whispers that Mora needs to ask the creator. He takes her through a secret door under her bed, using the green beetle to open it. They end up at a huge manor house. Daniel follows them and finds the boy, who says Mora didn't remember. They talk about never getting this far before and hoping things might be different this time. On the ship, people try to save themselves from the ticking. Jerome ties up Lucien, Clemens, and himself. Oleg helps Ling Yi, who is sad about her mother's death. The ship company sends another message saying to sink the Kerberos. Daniel tries to turn off a mysterious machine but gets attacked. He uses a remote to make his attacker freeze like a robot. Mora finds herself in the mental hospital again and sees her father. She asks about her brother Karen, but her father says she's asking the wrong questions. The doctors inject her with something, and she wakes up back on the ship. Ake confronts her, and she finally tells him the truth. She is Mora Singleton, daughter of Henry Singleton, who owns the ships. She thinks her father is doing an experiment on the passengers to study their brains. Mora shows Ake her letter addressed to Henry, explaining it's short for Henriette, her middle name that her brother used. She tells him how her brother Karen asked to meet her 4 months ago, saying he found out something about their father. He never showed up and may have been on the Prometheus. Using the green beetle, Mora opens another secret door under Ake's bed. It leads to the scene of his family's death in the house fire, but they're still somehow on the ship. Back on the ship, they wonder if the people jumping off are really dying or if everything is a shared dream. Mora remembers being a doctor at a mental hospital but thinks her father made her believe she was a patient and then forget everything.
How can any of this be real?
Ake reveals that his signature is on the Prometheus passenger list. He was its captain. Daniel stops the ticking sound, and the survivors gather on deck. The first mate shows Ake the message about sinking the ship. The episode ends in Henry Singleton's office, where he gets a message in triangle symbols from the Kerberos. He tells someone to inform their person on the ship to bring him the boy quickly. Then he looks out his window at a huge black pyramid, just like the small one the boy carries. Episode 6 opens with Tove remembering running through woods with Ada. When she wakes up on the ship, the memory makes her believe like her mother that the boy is the devil. Daniel and Ake tell everyone they must act fast because the ship's engine is off and they're stuck in the ocean. Ake takes charge again as captain. He sends Oleg and Franz with some men to start the engine.
We need to find land.
The 2 priests must stay with the first mate to send help messages. Mrs. Wilson and the women, except Mora, search for survivors. Ake and Mora go to find the boy. The mysterious machine Daniel uses is now dripping black stuff that turns hard like crystal. Eben tells Tove she's chosen and thinks Tove now believes all her ideas. Mora and Ake agree not to tell others their secrets. When Franz, Oleg, and the men go to the engine room, they see black crystal stuff coming from the ceiling. Daniel warns them not to touch it. Mora shows Ake the passage under her room that leads to where she grew up, with her father's house in the distance. While searching the ship, Clemens and Tove talk. Clemens says she wants children and changes into pants because dresses make it hard to run. In the engine room, Ling Yi and Oleg work together. She finds a postcard from his brother, and they kiss. Mora takes Ake to the mental hospital her father built for her sick mother, who forgot everyone, even her family. In a room with a medical chair, Ake looks out a window and sees the ship's hull. Mora finds ship parts behind a wall panel. Daniel follows them there. The first mate gets tired of waiting for answers to their help messages and leaves Ramiro and Anchor in the telegraph room. Mrs. Wilson touches the black stuff on a window, and it starts spreading up her arm. The black substance covers the walls like rock formations. Tove sees what looks like Crester and follows him through a door to the past. She's not pregnant anymore and sees Crester about to be shot. She stops the man, but Crester still gets hit in the face, causing his scar. Tove returns to the ship where Eben finds her.
C'est moi.
The first mate goes into the cupboard where they kept the boy and disappears. At Henry's house, Mora tells Ake about asking the creator for answers. Tove sees Crester again, but it's really the man who shot him. She goes through another door to the past and sees the terrible day again. Men held her family at gunpoint, angry because Crester had been with one man's son. The man attacked Tove while making her family watch. She fought back, killed him with a rock, and shot him. This is how she got pregnant. Clemens comforts her when she returns to the ship. Lucien tries to say sorry to Jerome while working in the engine room. Lucien explains he needs to reach America for a special surgery or he'll die. They get the engine working. Ramiro and Anchor realize they have no one to steer the ship. They find coordinates, but all the books nearby just repeat "May your coffee kick in" before reality does. The first mate meets Henry by the giant black pyramid surrounded by black crystal rocks. Henry talks about a transfer taking 48 hours and how people need to change how they see things. In the hospital, Maura and Ake find more black crystal stuff. Daniel stops Maura from touching it, saying they don't have much time. He begs her to remember him, saying he's her husband of 12 years. Maura doesn't believe him and locks him in the chair room. Outside, Maura throws a gun in anger and hits something invisible. She finds a hidden panel in the air that shows the ship's control center. Henry watches her on screens in his office. On the ship, Tove, Clemens, Mrs. Wilson, and Eben reach the deck during a storm. Mrs. Wilson's hand is turning black. Ake climbs out of a passage and finds himself on the Prometheus, which is in a huge group of other trapped ships. Episode 7 opens with Daniel's memory of being with Maura. They are in bed together, talking softly about their life and future. When Maura gets up and walks out the door, everything changes suddenly. A loud siren starts blaring through the building, and a woman's voice comes over speakers announcing that a shutdown is happening right away. Daniel jumps out of bed and runs through the same door Maura used, but instead of finding her, he ends up in a strange, empty place. There's a big house sitting far away in the distance, and on the ground, he finds Maura's shirt. He picks it up and calls out her name over and over, but she's nowhere to be found. Daniel wakes up on the cold floor of the mental hospital room where Maura locked him. He runs to the door and bangs on it as hard as he can, trying to get Maura's attention, but she has already left and gone back to the Kerberos. The ship is in terrible danger, heavy rain pours down and the whole vessel is tipping dangerously to one side. All the passengers frantically search for Captain Ake, knowing they need him to steer the ship through the storm. While everyone is running around, Virginia looks down at her hand and sees with horror that it has turned completely black, like the strange substance spreading through the ship. Daniel refuses to stay trapped in the hospital room. He examines a window and notices the ship's hull behind it. Using all his strength, he breaks through the window and discovers a maze of wires hidden behind the ship's walls. He carefully crawls through these wires until he reaches another mysterious place. There, he finds a rosary necklace lying on the ground. Following some unknown instinct, he climbs down into a deep well. Meanwhile, in a hidden room filled with screens, Henry sits watching Daniel and all the other passengers, following their every move. Back on the ship, which is being battered by the terrible storm, the first mate uses a special device that looks like nothing anyone has seen before. It has a timer on it counting down to something, and he's using it to try to find the boy. The timer seems connected to the shutdown that was announced in Daniel's memory. While the first mate searches, the passengers huddle together in fear, certain they're about to die in the storm. Maura, exploring on her own, discovers a secret passage under Daniel's bed. Following this passage leads her to a strange room that changes everything she thought she knew. The room is filled with pictures of her, Daniel, and the boy together, looking like a happy family. It makes no sense to her because she doesn't remember any of this. Daniel's journey through the mysterious places leads him to a cemetery. He finds a special coffin and opens it, revealing the boy hiding inside. Their conversation is intense. The boy asks if Daniel has found something called a code and wants to know if Maura remembers anything yet.
Have you found the code?
When Daniel says no to both questions, he promises they'll get Maura out so she can stop this loop once and for all. Before Daniel leaves to continue his mission, the boy gives him a gold ring that seems very important. On the Kerberos, the first mate finally figures out where the boy is and sends a message to Henry using his strange device. Daniel runs through the ship until he finds Maura and tells her the whole truth. Everything around them is fake, a computer simulation they're trapped in. The boy, whose name is Elliot, is actually their son.
You forgot.
He warns her that she must wake up soon or her mind will be stuck in this fake world forever. A loud siren starts blaring through the ship, the same one from Daniel's memory, warning that time is almost up. Daniel explains they need to find a special code to escape this fake world. Only Maura knows what it is, but she made herself forget it on purpose. Looking through her things, she finds a key hidden inside her gold necklace. They're not sure if this is the code they need, but they decide to try using it later. Together, they rush to find the room with the first mate's countdown device. Daniel types something into it, buying them a little more time before everything restarts.
But this summit will be different.
He tells Maura they're all stuck in a loop of fake worlds that lasts exactly 8 days before starting over again. With time running out, they race off to find their son Elliot. The storm gets worse, and passengers start dying all around them. Oleg is swept into the ocean by a huge wave. Lucienne dies from a terrible seizure. A heavy piece of equipment crushes Angel in the engine room. Franz, Eben, and Anchor all drown in the rising water. Through all this chaos, the first mate manages to bring Elliot to Henry. Henry's voice booms through the ship's speakers, telling Maura to bring him the key if she wants to see Elliot again. Daniel hands Maura the gold ring from the boy and promises he'll fix everything before running off into the storm. The timer finally hits 0, and the shutdown begins. The Kerberos gets sucked into a massive whirlpool and suddenly appears in a new place, the same mysterious shipyard where Ake is stuck on the Prometheus. The episode ends with Ake standing on the Prometheus, watching in disbelief as the remaining passengers on the Kerberos appear before him. Episode 8 opens with Elliot's memory of sitting in a field with his mother Maura.
I live with you and Daddy forever.
He shows her a green beetle he found and wants to keep it in a box, but Maura tells him to let it be free. The scene changes and Elliot is taken to a dark place with a huge pyramid. When he wakes up, Henry tells him Maura has tricked him and that she's the only one who can free them from the simulation. Henry takes Elliot outside to the big pyramid. He tells Elliot it's time to remember, and suddenly the walls around them disappear. They find themselves in the hospital from Maura's memories. Meanwhile, Ake returns to the Kerberos where the remaining passengers, Maura, Tove, Ramiro, Ling Yi, Jerome, Clemens, and Virginia, want answers. Ake asks about Daniel, and Maura explains that Daniel is her husband and the boy is her son, though she can't remember them. She tells everyone that none of this is real and that her father owns the ship company and controls everything. When she asks if anyone remembers getting on the Kerberos, no one does. Daniel works on the ship's power source with his device, making the lights flicker red while black crystal formations grow bigger. The passengers try to leave the ship but can't because the black crystals block all exits. Maura and Ake go to Daniel's room and down to his memories, finding photos of Maura, Daniel, and Elliot together.
I look at these and I don't feel anything.
Maura feels nothing looking at them. She thinks the simulation might work like a brain, with different connected areas for memories. They tear down walls and find wired pathways with a flashlight. At the hospital, Henry puts Elliot in the chair and gives him a memory shot. Elliot sees a vision where Maura gives him an injection while Daniel says she can't stop him from dying. Maura says it's the only way they can be together. Henry reveals that Maura and Daniel created the simulation to keep Elliot alive, and only Maura has the key to escape. The remaining passengers on the Kerberos start seeing strange things. They walk through doorways into each other's memories. Ling Yi sees Oleg covered in grease and follows him through a door. Everyone ends up back on the Kerberos and hears Angel singing from the engine room. The first mate tells Henry that Daniel has hacked the simulation. Henry orders him to get the key from Maura. When the first mate finds Maura and Ake at the hospital, Maura gives him the key. He uses his device and kills Ake. Maura meets Henry and asks about her brother Kieran, but Henry straps her to the chair, saying she created all this to heal her pain. Henry and Elliot give her a memory shot, but when Henry tries to use the key on the pyramid, it doesn't work because Daniel changed the code. The Kerberos explodes after a countdown. Maura wakes up wearing a hospital gown and finds Elliot's playroom at a gravesite. Daniel appears and says his plan worked. He stopped the loop by hacking the system. He explains they're in their first simulation and that Maura's brother Kieran took control of everything, causing the loop. Daniel gives Maura her wedding ring to use as a key for a new, colorful pyramid. He says he'll always be with her as she returns to reality. Maura wakes up on a spaceship called Prometheus in the year 2099. She sees the other passengers from the Kerberos strapped to walls with devices on their heads. This is how they enter the simulation. As she checks the computer, she gets a message from Kieran saying welcome back to reality. Thanks for watching. Check out my other recaps, and let me know in the comments which series you want next. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next one.